Oh, I'll give everybody a minute to kind of join in here. Stuck inside tonight. Rain. So we're relegated back to the studio. That's okay. It's nice in here too. Less cars, I guess, I gotta listen to the cars go by. But I don't like getting stuck inside the house. I like sitting out on the deck. Sitting here in the studio enough. We'll give everybody a few seconds to join in here. We're just getting started here right at the 8:30 p.m. time frame on a Sunday evening. Happy Mother's Day. Oh. Crack a cold one. This is a Lagunitas little something something. I'm gonna actually grab a koozie. All right. Well, we hit the record button, and we're going to kick it off this week. This week, I'm discussing a question that I probably get asked the most often, and most of the time, it is right in the middle of deer season, like peak time of year to be hunting. When I get asked, is, hey, how do I get started hunting? Solid question. Now, this time of the year is the time of year you should be asking that question. How do I get started hunting? But this week's episode is brought to you by Deep Roots Rifle Company. Elevated excellence, rooted in integrity and reliability. So hop over there, click on the shop tab, and see what they have. See what they have that you need. I know they got a great deal on Zeiss optics. They got all kinds of great stuff over there. So your optics and everything you can need to get that rifle ready for deer season, which you should be worried about that stuff now, not right before season starts. But we'll kick it off with probably one of the more important things, I would say. I mean, I was fortunate, so I got started hunting. I was fortunate, like my kids, that I hunt because my dad hunted. He instilled in me a love for the great outdoors from an early age, just like I've known my kids. Take them out in the woods, we go hunt, we go wander, we're going camping here in a couple weeks. Just like being outside. I can tell you, like my son, he's not big into the video games and stuff. He is, first thing when he gets home from school, he's outside either building his bike ramp or shooting his bow and building traps in the backyard for squirrels and whatever else. And just having a time of it. We got him dialed in good now at about all the way up to 30 yards with his bow. I mean, he's shooting a group probably about 8 inches at 30 yards, which is pretty good for a 9-year-old. He's shooting a little, the Diamond Infinite Edge. I want to say he's probably drawing about 25 pounds, 25 to 27 pounds. We got to get him up there a little higher before we're going to let him hunt deer with it. But he's trying to wreak havoc on the squirrels in the backyard, I can tell you that. Hasn't got one yet, but he's getting close. So the first thing you need to do, especially if you're an adult getting into hunting or wanting to get into hunting, is you need to take a hunter education course. Okay? All your states are going to require you to have a hunter's education course to buy a license. Typically, like your first year, you can buy an apprentice license, which allows you to hunt with a another adult 21 or older. I'm pretty sure in most states you have to be within, like, under the direct supervision of them. Hunt with that other adult for a year as an apprentice, right? And then you take your hunter education, your hunter safety course. Um, Anymore, especially in the past few years, you can take the course online, but they still require of you to come and do a in-person field day where you're gonna, like when I did mine, the first one that I did. So when I first did mine, let's see, I don't have my wallet on me. I think 2001 was when I did mine. So I was 10. Um, I did mine at the jail, and it was a 2-day course. The first day we sat through like the instruction portion of it, and they're going to cover all kinds of stuff, from the basics of finding, tracking, skinning game, because wanton waste is a thing. You can't just go out and shoot animals and leave them there. That's illegal. It's considered wanton waste. You have to do your best to take as much meat off of that as you can. In some cases, some animals, it's going to depend. It's not always meat, but you have to take certain parts of that animal. You can't just go and shoot them and run. So they're going to go through the basics of that stuff, the basics of gun safety, and then you're going to go into either a second day or the latter half of that day, and you're going to take your exam, and then you're going to do your field day where you go out. And when I did mine, we shot a 22, we shot a bolt action, a semi-automatic, pretty sure semi-automatic 22, bolt action. A lot of it was 22s, and it was all semi, bolt, lever action. Shot a pump shotgun, and then like a recurve bow, and that's to help get you a feel for that. Now, the second time I took it, when I took it with my wife up in Kentucky, all we did was shoot a shotgun afterwards at clay pigeons. So it's not always going to be the same, but there's going to be some sort of like hands-on portion of that. Now, some states, if you have a concealed weapons license, Florida is one of those, they will allow you to take you can skip the field day if you already have a concealed weapons license, because you've done the practical portion for that. So the cool thing too about Florida, though, is if you have a hunter safety course, so like if you have a concealed weapons license in Florida, you can take home a firearm when you purchase it without a waiting period. If you have a valid hunter safety course, you can do that for rifles and shotguns, but not for pistols. But if you had your concealed weapons permit, you can do it for shotguns, rifles, and pistols. You take it home the same day, no wait period. So all states are going to require that to get a license past that apprenticeship license. Yeah, like I said, they go over firearm safety, hunting, and some hunting laws and basic skills. If you can find an in-person class, usually would be listed on your state agency's website, and you can sign up for those in-person classes and go and take it there. They're usually free or for a very small fee, and it's a good time. You get to meet other people who are interested in hunting, maybe make some friends there, and then once you got it done, you got it done. You're going to get your card or a hunter safety number, like an identification number, which you'll have to provide when you go to get a license. And some states require you to carry it on your person. I have the same card I've had since I was 10. And then comes the expensive part in most places, which is going and getting your hunting license. So most states will allow you now to do it all online. Or back in the day, it used to be We'd go to Walmart, get it printed out, and it was this like 2.5 inch wide long sheet of paper with your tags on it or whatever else. But now it's all on my phone. I can check in deer on my phone. You're still technically supposed to carry a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a harvest record, because you need to fill out a tag before you move a deer. But on the same hand, you can, well, I've tested legalities out of this one, but like when you get a permit here in Florida, you're supposed to sign your permit, and then you print it out, sign it, and your guest permit as well. But what I've done in the past is, if you have an iPhone, you can create a signature block in your photos, and then I'll go in and just shrink that down and set my signature on top of the signature block, or where I'm supposed to sign, and save that permit as a screenshot. And I haven't had an issue with that, showing that to a game warden. They're cool with that. I don't know how they would feel about me filling out using a text block and stuff like that to fill out a tag the same way. Be something I have to figure out. I don't know. I never thought about doing that till just now, because I do carry the paper one in my bag. But you're supposed to fill that tag out before you move a deer, and then you can check it in electronically through the app. And that's the same for Florida and Georgia and Alabama. It's the same way. We all had, you could either call and check it in if you didn't have a good enough internet signal, or you could check it in via the app. Just check game, animal, and then they'll let you go from there. Hunting licenses are going to vary from state to state. A lot of times, if you're hunting public land, you're going to need some sort of management area permit or stamp on top of everything else. So you can't just buy a hunting license and run to the woods. 2, when it comes to the hunting license, there's a difference in a big game hunting license and a hunting license in most states. Your hunting license is going to cover you for small game and fur bearers, and if you want to hunt waterfowl or other upland bird, your small game hunting license will usually suffice for that. Unless you're wanting to hunt waterfowl, then you're also going to need a duck stamp. Some states have a state duck stamp or duck permit, which will cost you, if you're a state resident, $5 or $6, and then usually maybe double that for an out-of-state non-resident. And your duck stamp is a federal thing, so even if you jumped on like a sale and bought a lifetime license, that Florida runs sales every now and again, and my son has a lifetime license. I'll be getting my daughter one here soon, but you still have to buy that federal duck stamp every year, even though he doesn't have to buy any kind of license other than that. What I typically do in most states when I go to hunt is I buy what's called a sportsman's license. And the sportsman's license covers, in the state of Florida and just about anywhere else I've bought it, covers everything, right? It's going to cover me to hunt, to fish, all my other permits that I need, they're all going to be on there. And it's going to be everything, like I said, except for the federal duck stamp. They're going to be the most expensive thing. So like I said, you're covered. Everything's there. And if you added everything together that's on the sportsman's license, I think the sportsman's license typically comes out a few dollars cheaper for a state resident. So that's your easiest way too. And I actually got asked this question the other day. In the state of Florida, is there a different fishing license for freshwater and for saltwater? And the answer is yes. If you're a resident of the state of Florida, you do not need a fishing license to fish from the shore in saltwater. And that includes a dock, like staying on a dock or a pier. But you do need the free permit. And then if you are a resident of the state of Florida fishing in freshwater, if you are in your home county and fishing from the shore with a cane pole, you also do not need a license, but you'll still need a free permit. But a resident fishing license is usually pretty cheap. Even a non-resident fishing license is usually pretty cheap, unless you're talking about going to a place where fishing is a big thing. Uh, like trout and stuff like that, those licenses for non-residents tend to get a little more expensive. But still not that bad. Not near as bad as buying a non-resident hunting license. So, and then you want to gear up. You're going to start looking at if you're going to hunt with the bow, what kind of bow you're going to want to get. Bow, firearm, depends on what you want your hunting method to be, and where you're going to go from there. So, your seasons typically run in most states are going to open up archery or primitive weapons is going to open up first, and then muzzleloader, and then modern gun. There are some states, I think South Carolina is one, where when season opens, it's just hunting season, at least on private property. But if you want to get a bow, you don't have to buy the most expensive bow, top of the line, Matthews, Hoyt, whatever you see all the big name guys shooting. That's not at all necessary to kill deer. You can buy a used bow, practice with it. It might be a little louder, might be a little slower, but it's still going to kill deer. As long as you're practicing with it and you can shoot it accurately, that's what matters. And the best thing you can do as far as buying yourself a bow, new from a pro shop, is to go in there with a budget in mind and understand that a lot of times when you buy a bow, it does not come set up with sights and rests and arrows and peep and everything you need to shoot a compound bow. You're going to need the bow itself. You're going to need a peep sight. You're going to need a sight to go on there. You're going to need an arrow rest. You're going to need arrows. You're going to need field tips. You're going to need broadheads. You're going to need a release. So all these things are going to go together. Now, the beauty of it is that you shouldn't need. It's not you're not buying arrows every time you go shoot. You're reusing arrows over and over again. And all this stuff you're buying can last you for many seasons if you take care of it. And the technology in bows changes so much that every year they're going to try and sell you a new one, but you don't need it necessarily. If you wanted to shoot, but you can buy used as well. I mean, I have both a used recurve and a used longbow that are in excellent condition. And the recurve was made in 1962. But a lot of times you can go into a shop and you can pick up bows that are there on consignment for a little cheaper. I know that I think Bowtech still makes a ready-to-hunt package. And Diamond, which is a sister company of Bowtech, I'm pretty sure has a ready-to-hunt package. I think Mission, which is a sister company of Matthews, has a ready-to-hunt package. I know that Bear has a ready-to-hunt package. I don't know what Hoyt or Prime or the other guys offer. But with those ready-to-hunt packages, they typically come with a sight, a rest, the peep sight. All you got to buy outside of that is arrows and a release, and you're ready to go. So those are things to consider. But go to the shop with a budget in mind of what you want to spend, either on just a bow and then save up money afterwards to buy some sights or whatever else, or really you should be looking at it as a whole to get sights and arrows, at least a half dozen arrows and so on. And if you're going to buy a half dozen, only practice with 3 of them. Don't shoot all 6. And you can rotate 1 or 2 in as you lose them or destroy them. Robin Hooding arrows is cool until you realize you lost $60 because they're $30 an arrow. But don't practice if you buy a dozen. I still wouldn't shoot 6 of them. I'd shoot 4 and hang on to the other ones. Just leave them in the box or whatever, sitting in ready reserve. Broadheads. There's so much out there on the market. Whatever floats your boat, look at some reviews online, see what you think about how they match up, and go from there. But none of that, well, your broadheads need to be new, but nothing else really needs to be new. You can buy all that used. Appropriate camouflage. No. Dark colors, brown, green, sit in the shade, be still, be quiet, stay in the shadows, you'll be all right. Or you can buy it from Walmart. When it comes to being cold, if you already have warm clothes and you don't want to spend all the extra money just to get out and hunt and your warmest jacket's neon green, go buy a long sleeve camouflage t-shirt that's like 2 sizes too big, put your neon green jacket on, and then put the camouflage shirt on over top of it. Like, this doesn't have to be something you spend a bunch of money on just to get into. That can come later, right? Get yourself a good knife and a field dressing kit. Okay. I prefer not to use the little knives where you can change the blades out. I don't like throwing those blades away. It's just not good later on. I carry, which I covered this a couple weeks back. Um, I like this fixed blade knife I've got, the SE Izula 2, and you could pick them up for about $80. It's a great USA made fixed blade knife. This sheath I got from Etsy, but it's a small knife. You can see fits in the palm of the hand, but really it's only about, yay big. Been a great knife so far. Carries well. This sheath is made for pocket carry, so it's in my pocket all the time. A backpack, any old backpack will do to get you started, especially if you're stand hunting. And we kind of talked about this. If you're going to be carrying weight, having a frame pack, a quality frame pack, will make all the difference in carrying weight. With a waist belt and load lifters and stuff like that. Those are things you may not know you want, but you're going to want when you really weight a pack down with meat and stuff like that. There are a lot of companies out there that make less expensive and not necessarily cheap gear. Alps Outdoors makes some good stuff that's not as expensive as other brands. It's not by any means cheap, but it's good stuff for a better price. But on the same hand, you can go out and find Hill People gear, Eberly Stock, Mystery Ranch, all that stuff. You can find it on Facebook Marketplace used. It's there. Just shop for it, hunt for it. Boots. Spend some money on your boots. If your feet get cold and you want good insulated boots, buy those good insulated boots. Don't go cheap on boots because your feet will thank you later. Visit a range and become proficient with your weapon of choice. If you're going to jump in full-fledged, you're going to get a bow, a muzzleloader, and a rifle. Typically, it's easier to find a place to shoot archery. I live on a half an acre here in the city, and you build a good backstop out of hay bales and put your target in front of it. Well, you can build yourself a good backstop and then shoot in your backyard, usually pretty safely, and get 30 yards or so. Muzzleloader and rifle is a little different. You're going to need a legitimate gun range for both of those. I personally would suggest, if you want to shoot a muzzleloader, that you learn to shoot and shoot loose powder over shooting the pellets. The pellets are easier to manage as far as reloading and measuring of powder weights and all that stuff goes, but you'll see better accuracy out of loose powder, just because it burns better. But you can get quick reloads so that you can take all your time at the house. I think CBA sells some. It's just a little tube. It would look something like your tube with the powder and then a little spot on the side. Like you see my thumb here next to my finger. Where the thumb is, the bullet would sit. And then over here is your tube of powder where my index finger's at. So you could fill, if you're going to shoot 100 grains, 85 grains, whatever you're going to shoot, you fill that tube with the proper amount of powder. You set your bullet next to it and have a spot for a primer. And then you can open it, dump your powder down the barrel, seat your bullet on top, send it home with the ramrod, primer in the back, and you're good to go. There's no trying to measure that in the field, and you can carry 4 or 5 of those in your backpack, and it's going to keep them relatively dry. I mean, if you submerge yourself, I can't guarantee it's going to keep it dry, but in the rain, it'll be fine. you carry those 4 or 5 of those in your backpack. You don't have to worry about reloading. Now, if you go through 5, you're carrying 5 when you go through 5. Well, I mean, that's on you, bud. Should have spent more time at the range. Um, with a rifle, you can shoot at 100 yards, even if you've never done it. Been there, seen a guy show up to the range with a Remington 700 308 shooting at 20 yards, and I was shooting a 17 HMR at 150. 150. He's like, I want to get there one day. I'm like, buddy, today is your day. You can do it right now. That rifle is more than capable of going 100 yards. But you can look at your drop on the side of the box, typically 1.5 to 2 inches high. If you zero that at 100 yards, that'll usually put you right about dead on at 200. So anywhere from 0 to 200 would put you right on there. Maybe we need to do a whole episode on zeroing, and then point of aim 0, which is also a pretty cool method. That'll get you a lot further, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. You want to get to where you're shooting quality groups, okay? And with a rifle, I'm talking at 100 yards, there's no reason your groups shouldn't be 1 inch, 1 inch. And if you're not seeing that, you need to get somebody there who's knowledgeable, make sure your form is right, and that you're, doing it right every time, so that you're getting quality groups in there. So, and then we're going to get into the scouting part of this. Scouting and choosing a hunting spot. And this is where it gets kind of tough, right? Because without having a mentor, you may not know what to look for. So we're going to skip over that. We'll come back to it. And we're going to say start small. Start outside of deer season. Let's go hunt some squirrels. Squirrels are one of my favorite ways to bring a new hunter into deer hunting. And the reason I say that is we can get out and chase squirrels right after deer season's over. And we can wander the woods together side by side. I can show you deer trails, deer tracks, buck rubs, old scrapes, show you how the deer are using the land, all this without the pressure of having to kill or try to kill a deer that day. But we might still get a few squirrels. So start with squirrels, then come back to deer. Learn what you're looking for during squirrel season. Spend all summer chasing that same thing. Set some trail cameras out, and you can buy cheap trail cameras. I actually have some. So Spy Point, I don't know if they still got them on their website or not. I'd have to look, but they used to have, and I bought some when I saw them on sale, this little adapter that goes on just a regular old camera, regular old trail camera. And I want to say I picked them up for like $20 a piece. And it has a thing that goes into the SD card slot. And it turns any regular old cheapo trail cam into a cell cam. So you can take that for $20 and then buy like a $20 Tasco camera, put that on public land, have a cell camera. And I think Spy Point even has like the first so many pictures are free. So you get that going for you. And I should have brought one of those out here, but they're cool. I'll have to drag one out next time I'm out here. Maybe I'll throw it up later this week and show you guys what I'm talking about. That's an easier way to get into the cell cam game and a cheaper way to do it. That way, if somebody steals it off public land, they're not stealing your $100 cell camera. But camouflaging trail cams is pretty easy to do too. And the first thing you can do with that is get rid of that strap and switch to like 550 cord or paracord of some kind, a dark colored paracord, like you see what this is made out of right here. It's made out of pull it down, that dark colored paracord. You could do it with that, because the first thing I notice on trail cameras in the woods, somebody else's, is that strap around the tree. I see that strap a lot of times before I see a camera. So you get rid of that, and the trail cameras are immediately harder to find. I taped mine up and spray painted them camouflage, so that way they're even harder to see, which is a good thing and a bad thing because they're harder for you to find when you get back. But if you know about where they're at, you should be able to find them. You can set them high so that people can't reach them as easy too, and that's as easy as carrying like one climbing stick, setting them up, and facing them down. But they're going to get their best shot at right about waist height. It's going to catch the most critters on it. So then we go back to the scout and choosing your hunting spot. Figure out what's important to the critters in your area. A lot of times it's going to be a food source. So figure out what they're eating on by watching, and then you're using apps like Spartan Forge or other stuff, Hunt Stand, all those things to mark where you want to be, and then roll back out there a little bit before season or right before your hunt or the day of your hunt and set your stand up, depending on what you're hunting out of. If you're hunting out of a climber, you can do that the morning of. I don't typically leave my stuff on public land unless I am either like I hunted in the morning and I got down and I'm going back to the same spot in the afternoon. I won't tear all my stuff down. If I'm leaving Saturday afternoon and coming back Sunday morning, I'll leave my climber there, but I usually carry a cable lock for like a bike, or you can use the cable locks for the coolers, and cable lock the two pieces together and then around the tree. That way you can't just undo it and haul off with it. It's going to keep, it's not going to prevent theft, it's going to keep an honest person honest, right? And then set over that sign. Especially if you've had cameras there and you know that deer are coming through there pretty regular. So, and then, like I said, you go with an experienced hunter. But you're not going to find these people just anywhere. You can find these people, go and hang out at a check station. Talk to people, hear stories. Ask for advice. You don't ask for a particular hunting spot, but you can ask for advice. And a lot of times you'll get it. And sometimes you might get a spot. You might make a good friend. Now, if you're like, man, when do I start? How do I start squirrel hunting? Easy. You should be following our Facebook group and page because we do small game hunts every year. This year, we did one in Seminole Forest, and then we did another one in Lake Panasoffkee. Seminole Forest is one of my favorite places to small game hunt. It's also a great spot to deer hunt if you can get the tags. It's tough to draw. Lake Panasoffkee is even harder to draw, but it's absolutely beautiful for squirrel hunting as well. But if you come to one of our events, obviously you'll find me there. And if I got time, I can walk around with you. If not, I can set you on the right path. We can talk about it. And the downtime, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And then maybe we can sneak out at a later date without the group of people, and I can teach you a little more. I have no problem doing that. I love doing that. I started hunting with old buddy Tristan when we lived up in Kentucky, and he wandered around the woods with me all summer. And then I helped him get set up for his first setup out there where I thought he should sit. And he got a shot at a deer, missed. And then later on, set up and killed a little button buck and then a nice little 6-point that year. And then went on from there the next year to kill a beautiful 9-point, a few does. It was a good time. And he got hooked and was just up on it. Now, if you want to get into duck hunting, the best thing I can tell you to do for that is don't. It's an addiction. It'll get you, and it's expensive. But a lot of guys really enjoy it. I enjoy it too. It's fun. Jim, Briar go all the time. But some places easier than others. I would say I had an easier time accessing it without a boat when I lived in Georgia versus down here, it's not as easy to access huntable area without some form of watercraft, but you can do that in a kayak or a canoe or one of those water feather boats like we got. Those things are, I would rather do it in one of those than a dang canoe for sure, because they're stable. And two, that water feather boat blind in really well. But there's special regulations when it comes to hunting ducks. You need to have non-toxic shot, so you can't use lead shot. You got to use tungsten or bismuth or steel shot. Steel shot being the cheapest of those three, tungsten being the most expensive, and then bismuth riding right there in the middle. But bismuth is a lot closer to lead than steel, and tungsten is heavier than lead. So that tungsten shot, man, it's become big in the turkey world, and I'm talking like a box of 410 shells run you like $60. And that tungsten shot, I can only imagine buying a box of daggum 20 shells. Oof. But you don't need it. Steel will get it done. For wood ducks, like number 4s are plenty. Maybe even smaller. 2 3/4, 3-inch. You don't have to shoot 3.5-inch shells. When you get into the bigger ducks like the whistlers and the mallards, number 4s or number 2s. And then you go into geese, and maybe then you want to think about BB or something like that. It's all in the game you're chasing. And the same goes for picking a rifle. If you're going to hunt whitetail deer, 30-06 is tried and true, 7mm 08. I don't care what people say about the 6.5 Creedmoor, it kills deer. You think you can kill deer with a 243, but not with a 6.5 Creedmoor. It's 6mm versus 6.5mm. 308 is a tried and true. Been around for a long time, killed plenty of deer, 30-30. If that's what Grandpa has and you can get that from him, get after it. Practice with it. The advancements in bullet technology, especially for stuff like the 30-30, has really changed up things with the Hornady lever revolution ammunition. That stuff is awesome. That made the 30-30 a 200-yard gun, easy. Now, you're not going to see the same accuracy out of a 30-30 as you would for, say, a 308, but it's going to be plenty accurate enough to kill a deer. And you don't need a 300 Win Mag to kill deer in the majority of the United States. Actually, anywhere in the United States, you don't need a 300 Win Mag to kill deer. But if you want to jump into hunting elk, I mean, maybe 300 Win Mag's not a bad idea. It's not necessary. But, you know, pick your cartridge according to your game. As far as muzzleloaders go, CVA has a crap ton of muzzleloaders. Check your local state regulations, because some states don't allow scopes. Some do. And even now, let's see, Traditions has the Federal Fire Stick, which is like a plastic capsule that goes in from the breech that has the powder charge in it already. And you put the primer in the back of that sucker, send your bullet down from the front. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy, and it's supposed to be pretty accurate too. So there's a whole lot of technology out there. See, a CVA Wolf with a scope and everything and a case can be had for like $300. You can watch Camo Fire, which is an app you should download for hunting equipment. You can find bows on there, arrows, releases, muzzle loaders, scopes, camouflage, boots, tents, cooking equipment, knives, and it's usually on sale for like 12 hours and then it's gone. So keep an eye on that stuff, and hopefully that answers that question. And if you guys are looking to get into hunting and you're watching this, like, man, send me an email at underpressureoutdoors@gmail. Send me an email. Send me a Facebook message on the Under Pressure Outdoors Facebook page. Like and subscribe to the podcast, and we'll talk about these small game hunts when they're coming up and the other events we do. So, guess that's all I got. Hopefully we'll catch you guys out in the woods. I think having more hunters out there is a good thing. Because the more hunters in the woods, the more people we have on our side when it comes to legislative stuff. So, yeah, that'll be it. We'll catch you guys next week. Oh, hang out for a minute, and then I'm out of here. Been at it for about 40 minutes. That one went pretty good. If you guys got any more questions, like I said, email them to me. Facebook message, Instagram, TikTok. It's all Under Pressure Outdoors podcast. You can send them however you'd like, and we'll get it answered for you. I think I'll have to go over that point of aim sighting method, which is pretty cool because depending on the round, that can keep you in a vital zone of a deer from point blank to 300 yards with a zero at like 25 yards. So that's a pretty neat sighting method. But like I said, it's be in the vital zone, not necessarily shooting dime groups, or quarters, 1 inch, whatever. So, all right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good night.